Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another daily dose of Dominaria spoilers. So it's been a couple days since we had a video. That's because it has been the slowest trickle of spoilers in the history of mankind. I think Wizards tricked us a little bit. When they said spoiler season started early, what they actually meant was they were going to release one card a day for this week, and then spoiler season will start next week like normal. Still, since we let the last couple days kind of pile up, we got 4 cards to talk about today, including one of my favorite cards from the set because it has some of my favorite text on it, and that is Karn's Temporal Sundering. Take an extra turn on a sorcery, back in standard, and this card is actually pretty spicy. Before we actually talk about the card, Noah Bradley is just so amazing. Another great piece of art. We were gushing about his art for the Saga a couple of days ago. One of our favorite arts, my favorite arts from the set on History of Dominaria. Karn's Temporal Sundering is super amazing as well. So the card itself, 6 mana, extra turn, also bounces something. The trick is it's a legendary sorcery, which means you gotta build around it a little bit, which I think is why it's rare. One of the big comments I've seen from people since this card was officially previewed was, why is this at rare? Extra turn spells pretty much always at Mythic these days, and I think that is acknowledging that being a legendary sorcery is a pretty significant drawback. So as far as where Karn's Temporal Sundering fits and what it's like, it's basically like a replacement for Part the Water Veil. We had tons of fun with Part the Water Veil. You lose the upside of being a finisher. Like, we can't just awaken Karn's Temporal Sundering and win the game with a huge attacking land. However, it does give us an extra turn, and being able to bounce something can be a pretty sweet upside as well, getting a blocker out of the way and just giving us more value. So to actually make Karn's Temporal Sundering work, we need to be able to have something legendary on the battlefield, and we have a few sweet options. I don't know how competitive it'll be. It definitely is a huge drawback to have something on the battlefield to even cast this. It means we can't just play Karn's Temporal Sundering in straight up like ramp deck, no permanence, just ramp, fog, extra turn, kill you somehow. So we do have some options though, which have potential to be powerful. Brawl Chief of Compliance turns Karn's Temporal Sundering into an actual Time Warp, 5 mana to take an extra turn, which is a pretty sweet deal. Kefnet's nice because it's hard to deal with. Like, we cast it on turn 3, it sits out, draws us extra cards. It is a legendary creature, even if it can't attack and block, which means it's going to fulfill the legendary sorcery requirement. And then probably the spiciest option, although probably not the most competitive option, is just to play Rashmi, cast Karn's Temporal Sundering, get a free card, maybe cast something more expensive, get a free Karn's Temporal Sundering. Can do all kinds of sweet tricks with Rashmi as well. So we do have some cards to enable it, and this isn't even including Planeswalkers. You can play Dovanban, you can play random Jaces, Chandras, whatever Planeswalkers you want to support it as well. So we'll see how that restriction actually shakes out. The sweet thing about Karn's Temporal Sundering is, while you'll normally use, I think, the bounce to bounce one of your opponent's things, get rid of their best threat, or kind of set back their development, you can also use it on your own stuff, which opens up some possibilities. Ability to reset your Hostage Shaker or pick up your Cloudblazer Torrential Gear Hulk to guarantee that you have something to do with your extra turn is really powerful. So I think that we could see a deck develop there as well, just using Karn's Temporal Sundering as a really sweet value spell to reset your stuff, take an extra turn, make some more land drops. So we'll have to see. Of course, none of these creatures are legendary, so you really got to build around it to make it work. But I think there's a chance that we see Karn's Temporal Sundering show up because we have great ramp in the format. We already see these crazy like 4 or 5 color Masterminds Acquisition decks. It's pretty easy to free roll a Temporal Sundering there, assuming you can build around it enough to make sure you always have a legend. So I'm super excited for Karn's Temporal Sundering because I just love extra turn spells. I think we're going to have to build around it a bit and see how big of a restriction being a legendary sorcery really is. Is it going to be really hard to build around? Is it going to be stuck in our hand way too often to make it consistent? It's definitely a deck building challenge, a deck building restriction to make legendary sorceries work. The good news is there's a ton of payoff. Extra turn for 6 mana is a pretty good payoff, and there's an upside of bouncing something. So I think that if we can find the right build, and we will definitely try because taking extra turns is just so much fun, then Karn's Temporal Sundering has potential to be very strong in Standard, because extra turn spells, they just always have a chance to form this really crazy unique deck that doesn't exist exist at all when they are in the format. So hopefully we can find the right mix of legends to enable Karn's Temporal Sundering and build a super sweet turbo turn stack in Standard once again. Moving on our list, we have a blue saga, our rare blue saga, the Murari Conjecture, and this card is a little bit hard to break down. It feels like it'll definitely be a commander staple. As far as seeing play in Standard, I'm not sure how that's going to work. So basically, 5 mana, enters the battlefield, you get an instant back to your hand, then on your next beginning of first main phase, whatever that weird timing is, get a sorcery back to your hand, then on the following turn, you get to double up all your instants and sorceries. Murari's Conjecture goes away, every instant and sorcery you cast is doubled up. It's obviously a callback to Murari, another 5 mana card that gave you the ability to double up your instants and sorceries. So I think this is a really unique and cool callback and take to it from a flavor perspective. Murari does see playing Commander as well, so I think Murari's Conjecture definitely shows up there. As far as Standard, I don't know. I guess you can play it, get back a counter spell, and opt a card draw spell like Glimmer of Genius. Then the next turn, remember your mana is going to be untapped, so you can get back a Fumigate and sweep the board, or maybe a Duress to set up your combos, strategic planning for more value. And then on the last turn, you can do some really sweet things, like Murari's Conjecture doubling up Karn's Temporal Sundering. That is a lot of turns. Or a Torment of Hailfire should just win the game. That's not even including the potential to play it with Primal Amulet, which flips around into a land that lets you double spells again. So if you can flip around a Primal Amulet, ultimate your Murari's Conjecture, cast a Karn's Temporal Sundering, you're going to get 3 turns in a row, 3 turns, or you just Torment of Hailfire X3 and just kill your opponent basically no matter what they got going on. So there might be a super sweet combo deck using Primal Amulet, using Murari's Conjecture to really go crazy. How good that deck will be, I don't know. So Murari's Conjecture, it will be very good in Commander. I think it'll see heavy play there. Great in Spellslinger decks. Great in basically any blue deck that's playing a decent amount of spells. As far as Standard, I think we can build a super sweet deck around it. Whether that's a competitive deck or more of an against the odds deck, that remains to be seen. Next up, we have Time of Ice, which is the uncommon blue saga. And honestly, I don't think this card is very good. It's probably very good in Limited, where tapping down a creature twice in a row is pretty good, and then potentially bouncing multiple creatures also good. But as far as Constructed is concerned, little matchup dependent, little lacking in power, little slow. However, this card is a masterpiece of flavor and callbacks, and that's what I really want to talk about with this card. So if you look at this art and just take a glance and don't know the history of Magic, it might not be apparent, but this card is just overflowing with callbacks to Ice Age, the Time of Ice. So let's go over these really quick because it's so sweet. So keeping this art in mind, first off, up at the top we have White Shield Crusader and Kaldjoran Sky Knights flying in over a snow fortress with Kaldjoran Outpost. You can see it on the left of the fort sticking out the Kaldjoran Outpost. Down below we have Darien, King of Kaldjor, Lavisa, Cold Eyes, 2 of the most iconic characters from this era of Magic. And then, while we don't have their art yet, the characters down below in the circles, Jaya Ballard, Joda Archmage Eternal, and it doesn't end there. At the very bottom, we have Dark Depths with Merit Lay Tentacles sticking out. Necropotence, that one's my edition. I don't know. When I saw the skull laying in the middle with the sword, that's what it reminded me of. Another Ice Age original in Necropotence. Maybe that's not what it's supposed to be, but that was the first thing I thought of. So, while Time of Ice, probably great in Limited, probably horrible in Constructed, it is an amazing piece of art, an amazing flavor card that does a great job of capturing the Ice Age history era of Magic. So, I love the card. I don't think it's good, but it is still just an amazing piece of art, an amazing flavor card. Finally, our last card today, we have Power Stone Shard, which is basically the artifact version of Cloud Post, essentially. So you tap it to add a mana for each artifact you control named Power Stone Shard. And I'm mostly excited for Power Stone Shard because I think it goes a long way to enable one of my favorite decks that we haven't played in a long time, but that is the Paradox Engine combo deck. So the idea of Paradox Engine combo in Standard is you keep casting things, you have a bunch of mana rocks, you keep untapping them to kind of go infinite. Power Stone Shard copy 1 ramps you into Paradox Engine on turn 4. Then the next copy is where things get really insane. You tap them both, play a Prophetic Prism, you're actually generating 2 mana, you untap all your stuff, you tap them again, play another Prophetic Prism, a random Puzzle Knot to keep drawing cards, cycling through your deck, generating all this mana. We have good support cards in Glitness Crane and Whir of Invention to find our combo pieces, our Power Stone Shards, our Paradox Engines to keep going and going and going. And then eventually, we find our Aetherflux Reservoir, or just draw like our entire deck with Paradoxical Outcome. Aetherflux Reservoir storms off, kills our opponent. So we'll have to see. We still have problems. We still have a Braid, which is really devastating to this deck. But Power Stone Shard gives us literally the perfect mana rock as far as standard mana rocks are concerned. What this deck was really missing was Hedron Archive, a mana rock that tapped for 2 mana that really powered up the deck back before last rotation. But now we have Power Stone Shard, which has potential with 2 copies to just be better Hedron Archive. And if we ever get 3 copies, the amount of mana we can make is crazy, and that's not all that unrealistic because we get to draw through our deck so quickly with our Glitness Cranes, with our Whir of Inventions, with all of our Puzzle Knots and stuff. So I definitely think that thanks to Power Stone Shard, we will be playing Paradox Engine combo again because I feel like this gives it a shot. We'll probably still get wrecked by a Braid, whatever. The games where we combo off will be super sweet though, and Power Stone Shard will be a huge reason for the deck having some chance at being successful. Anyway, that brings us to the end of our daily Dominaria spoilers for today. So only 4 cards. I think we'll have a ton next week. Anyway, what do you think of today's cards? How good is Karn's Temporal Sundering? How big of a drawback is being a legendary sorcery? Like, is that a brutal drawback to build around? Is it not that big of a deal? Can we do it easily? Can we make a Turbo Turns deck? Does the Murari Conjecture have potential for standard, or is it mostly just a commander card? How about Time of Ice? Is there potential for it to see play, or is it just one of the best flavor cards ever made in the history of Magic? And what about the Paradox Engine combo deck? Does Power Stone Shard make that deck a reality? Can it actually compete in standard? Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll be back on Monday to talk more daily Dominaria spoilers, with spoiler season finally kicking off, really getting into the swing of things. Anyway, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.